the next step for that, I want to get some feedback. So the next step for that is to create like a really nice pop-up based on the principle. And is it okay if I talk about that right now? Because it's easier talking about it in person, and then eventually I'll probably make a video on this, but you can get the preview lesson, okay? So there's just a couple of things that I want to point out. All right, so here's the prototype. The number one thing is that for the base, you want to use something really stiff. So you want to get some cardboard, something that's strong, and that is stronger than this paper. Okay, so it doesn't have to be cardboard, but if I was using construction paper for this, I might want to use like a cereal box for the, so like cereal boxes are really good material for pop-ups. So save those.
Sorry,
or any
I
kind
didn't
of
quite
containers
catch that.
that are like that. So I started collecting those. Number one, when you design your final product, you want to make sure that it doesn't go inside. You have to manage that. Kind of did that mistake on accident, but I'm glad I did. It shows one of the things we want to avoid. Because when it closes, it should all fit. So what I'm hoping that you do is make an artistic piece that has a background and a foreground that goes with it. Okay, so I want you to, imagine something that you could use with this structure, and it could be anything. And design the background. I really like using cut paper, but you could do that and color it in with markers or however you want to design it. Okay, so that's the basic test or the basic starting point. So it could be anything. Like here, I did it with a butterfly. This one, I actually drew the legs on there on the green pieces of paper with Sharpie. So it's just a flat table, but it looks like it has the legs because I drew them on with the green paper, on the green paper. And then this one has the added thing. I changed, instead of doing a rectangle, I changed the shape of those. It's still basically a parallelogram, although this one isn't that great. It's kind of wobbly, but it still works. I changed the shape so it would be kind of like a butterfly on a bush. My background obviously is not that interesting on this one, but that's okay. So hopefully you could do a more interesting background. I have one other thing in here. So I'm working on another one, and this one is my table. This is my table, right? This is my table, and it's an owl, and this has an added layer because I introduced a second pop-up on top of the table. So maybe I should include a lesson about that, about how to do that, so you can combine pop-ups. But this is going to go on the table, and I haven't designed my background yet, but I'm imagining a tree and having this on the tree. Obviously, this is a really large pop-up, so I need a really large cardboard thing to make it work, right? So I'm still working on designing that. So again, I think the options are really unlimited about what you want to do. So find something that inspires you. You could make this for Mother's Day. Mother's Day is coming up. You could make it for a friend and send it to them, like someone that you're missing. You could make them a pop-up card and send it in the mail. That would be really cool. You could make it for one of your parents, So the other technical thing, have you guys seen those really cool pop-up cards called Love Pop or whatever? Like they have like all these like cool Star Wars pop-ups and Mother's Day pop-ups and stuff. Anyway, I learned something from them This one I kind of lucked out. I took my cardboard and I glued the paper on top of it, and I was really careful about it. But normally when you glue paper onto something that opens up and you open it up, you probably experienced this. It tears in the center or it gets all wrinkly and wobbly. Okay, so I have a solution for that, and this is the solution. Okay, don't glue it all the way across. Leave this open. This is what Love Pop does. Their professional cards, they always leave this open, and they design their backgrounds as 2 different sheets. And then when it folds, this is the engineering part. When it folds, this isn't forced to move, and so it doesn't tear. Okay, so it's kind of there's some planning involved in this. You have to do multiple layers, but then you don't have that problem of the center tear. And apart from that, so the next step is to play around with it, plan your ideas, gather your materials, and you might spend. I mean, for these pop-ups, I probably spent 2 or 3 hours. This one, 2 or 3 hours. This one, I probably spent like 15 hours working on this one. So this might be a project, if you have the time, that you work on for a week or 2 weeks, a little bit every day, and build it up and have something really cool to show. I think it's worth putting that time in, because once you do it, you'll get excited and you'll like, wow, this is something I did, I can share. And then as you get into it, the different pop-up ideas start you like, oh, I can combine these things and make things. So it's kind of really fun. So that's what I'm hoping happens. So I'm going to post a lesson, but you don't have to wait. Okay, so you can get started on and I see your hand there, Ella. You can get started and think about your design. I'm going to try to post that soon, but it's basically coming up with an idea, having a background and a foreground, and creating some kind of artistic piece.